Hi friends, my name is Akil Ahmed, and in this particular video tutorial we will see what is a materialized view in SQL Server. So the agenda of today's video tutorial is that we will look at the materialized view in SQL Server and we'll see like how we can create the materialized view. So the materialized view, they are also called as index view in SQL Server. So normally when you create a view, so a simple view, it does not contain any data or does not store any data on the disk. Rather, the views are the saved SQL queries. They are the virtual tables, so they get the data from the actual table and they do not contain any data in themselves. So they do not store any data. However, if you look at the materialized view, so the materialized view, they actually store the data on the disk. So if you have a query and in the query you are doing some kind of calculations, some aggregations, okay. So if you create a normal view and whenever you will call the normal view, it will actually do all the calculations every time you call the view because it do not store any data. However, if you create a materialized view on a complex SQL query, then it can actually store the data on the disk, and whenever you need the data, then it can quickly get you the data. So it do not need to every time rerun all the kind of calculations. So let's see like how to create the materialized view in SQL Server. So let's jump to the demo. So I got the AdventureWorks 2019 database, and you can see that in the AdventureWorks 2019 database I got two tables here, production.product table and then sales.sales order detail table. So I can join these two tables together based on the product ID column. Okay, so suppose I write a simple select statement from here, like select from, and I can select the data from the product table. I can alias the table as A, then inner join the second table sales.sales order detail, and I can alias it as B on A dot product ID equal to B dot product ID. Okay, so suppose I fetch few columns from these tables, so I can say for example A dot product ID, I can select the first three columns from the product table, A dot name and then A dot product number. Okay, so I have selected the three columns from the product table, and now suppose let's select the first three columns from the sales order detail table as well. So I can say B dot sales order ID, then B dot sales order detail ID, and then B dot carrier tracking number. Okay, so I'm selecting three columns from each table. So if you execute this particular query, so then it will show you the data from these two tables, from the product table and from the sales order detail table. So you can create a view, for example, on this particular query. So let's try to create a materialized view on this particular query. So how we can create the materialized view? We can write create view and then the view name. Suppose I can call the view as vw underscore product. So the view should be created with the schema binding. So we need to write with schema binding and then as, and this is how the view can be created. Okay, so if I execute this particular query, then this can create the view. Now we should create a unique clustered index on this particular view. So I can write the query create unique clustered index ix underscore pk on this particular view vw underscore product. Because the index will be of kind unique clustered index, so that's why we should create the index on the columns. Those can make up the unique key. Okay, so for example I can take the product ID here and then I can take the sales order detail ID. Okay, so these two columns, they can make the unique cluster index. So I can create the unique cluster index on this particular view. Okay, so now this view with the schema binding with the unique cluster index, this view is called as a indexed view or a materialized view. Okay, so now instead of selecting the data directly from this particular query, we can now select the data from the view. So I can write a query select star from vw underscore product. Okay, so this way when we will select the data, then the data will be fetched from the disk rather than getting it from the SQL query. Okay, this is a very basic select statement, and we are not doing any kind of like for example joining multiple tables, like maybe 3 or 4 or 5 tables, and getting a lot of data and doing a lot of calculations, like doing some group by operations and doing some sum count, and using some where clauses. So you can write a complex query, and when you will execute the query directly, then that will be a bit slower. And when you will create a materialized view on the complex query with a large amount of data, then fetching the data from the materialized view will be a lot faster as compared to the direct getting the data from the SQL query. Yeah, so this was about like how you can create the materialized view on the SQL Server. So I think that's it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching the video, and if you like the video, then please click the like button. Do subscribe to our channel, press the bell icon and click on all so that you will be notified every time I put a new video. Thank you so much.